Hi there, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. You all know that I'm excited every time I talk to you, but today is especially special. So today we have my spiritual coach, Daniel White, on. Daniel has been doing this for 30 years in 40 countries around the world and for thousands of clients. So, recently spiritual coaching, spiritual healing has become in vogue. Well, Daniel is old school. He's been doing this for a long time. He is the real deal. He's a spiritual transformation coach. And I'm excited today because we are talking about money. So, April, what in the world does spiritual coaching and healing have to do with money? It has everything. So, tune in, listen. I hope you get so many takeaways from today. Daniel and I have known each other since 2019, so you know that I love to share the people dearest to my heart with you. So, who knows where this conversation's going today? Daniel, welcome.
Thank you very much. Great to be here, April.
Great. Fun to have you on. So, we are going to dig in today. What I'd love to first talk about, I'll show my lovely copy, is your book, The Financial Freedom System. So, again, for 30 years, you've been a spiritual transformation coach. Share with us what guided you to write a book on financial freedom.
Well, it came through my own struggles with the stress around money and, starting a business. And what happened was the first 5 years, it was like, trying to survive, trying to build a business, and just, I got to a point where I was just sick and tired of all the stress and the pain and sleepless nights, just racking my brain trying to find ways to make the business work, because I knew in my heart this was what I wanted to do. There was nothing else I wanted to do. So I just knew I had to I just wanted to do this and nothing else, and that was the key. So I started praying and asking, okay, God, I need your help here. This is not working. And the first thing that came to me was a vision from God of an airline hostess putting the mask over her face. The whole airline drill, put your oxygen mask on yourself first before you help others. And the penny dropped. It was like, oh, I'm paying everyone else first instead of paying me first. I'm paying the landlord, paying the expenses, the electricity, all the business expenses. And it was like, okay, something's got to change here. So that's where it began.
Yeah, I love that. And what I love is you talk about going to God for help on this. I think so, because I work with people and their money limitations. I just did a money mindset class this week. And, it was like, what are your bad thoughts about money? And people would literally say money is evil. So they think it's counterintuitive to working with God. So share with us a little bit from your perspective. I mean, I feel God wants us to be abundant and have a good life, right? What would you share with a client who maybe comes to you with this programming or thinking?
Well, the main thing is that money is not evil. It's just a form of exchange. It's just a method to exchange energy. It's what has been put on top of money that's made it evil. Excuse me, all the people's own fears, greed, doubt, worries, lusts, passions, everything that's been put on it has distorted money. And so that's what really is the problem here. Because, as you said, God wants us to have a great life, and that's it. If I was doing healing in the desert and someone came to me, they'd probably bring me a chicken or a bag of oranges or something, as an exchange of energy for my time and my work. But in our society, we can't do that, so we use cash or money to do that.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's it. It's just a form of exchange.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, I love that. And I talk about it a lot, and I learned it from you years ago, an older version of the financial freedom system, right? I remember taking your group class, and, that was such an aha for me that money is really just energy. And if you think about electricity, which is energy, it can either light a city or in the form of lightning, burn it down. So, what I try to help my clients do is really put a higher purpose to earning more money, because I find, especially with my female clients, they see earning more money as needing to sacrifice something else, right? And so that's why I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today. So hopefully we can reset, this thinking and feeling. And one other thing is, again, I learned from you, I like my clients to connect with their body and see how their body's reacting to different things. And, the first time I did that exercise was when in your financial freedom masterclass that I took from you. And you had us, kind of feel our body and have our body tell us where to start. So talk to us a little bit about that and where that comes from.
Yeah, and I have big piece of my work is staying below the neck, not above the neck. We spend so much time above the neck with our lives that we don't get to feel what our body is trying to tell us, or even our gut instinct or our intuition is trying to tell what God is trying to tell us. So we're stuck in our mind and our own experiences. So the first exercise I get people to do is actually to imagine, in fact your whole audience can listen to it and do it now, is to close your eyes and imagine you had your whole year's income sitting in your bank account. Just picture it, in your bank account, on your bank statement, the whole year's income sitting there. And when you look at that, what happens to your body? Does your body get tense? Does it get relaxed? Does it get excited? How do you react to it? Do you feel giddy? Some people feel really giddy and start laughing. And it's like, wow. And I say, well, listen, would you like to have that feeling in your life every day? And that's the whole basis of the training I do and helping people with a masterclass so that you can achieve that. So it's not about the money. And this is something I learned really early, because I thought I was just trying to get rid of all my debt and get rid of all my stress with the money. But actually what I was searching for was peace and relaxation and a closer connection to God, and using money as a tool to be able to get us more relaxed so that we can hear when God's advising us. So
yeah. I love that. And it's funny, I closed my eyes to imagine, and then I remembered that I do have that in my bank account thanks to your coaching, and my body immediately relaxed. It was so funny. I was just like, oh, I have that. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Let's go.
We'll have to upgrade you to the next level then.
Oh yeah, I'm game. I'm always game for growth. So we will definitely.
So you've
work on
achieved
that.
it. This is the thing, is like when you get that, when you achieve that feeling, and what happened to me, the reason I found out I was looking for a life without stress and a life of relaxation and peace was because I noticed one day, because I was constantly, okay, well, how's my body feel now with my money and so forth? And I noticed one day I felt really relaxed. And then I was like tuning in, why am I relaxed now when I still have all my debt, still have all my struggles, financial struggles? And I realized I had over $200 in my wallet. And then when I took it out, I started to feel the stress come back. So I was like, so if I keep $200 in my wallet at all times, I'm going to feel it's like a temporary fix for the stress until I get to that point where I feel completely relaxed. And I did get to that point, which I talk about later in the program, about getting to the critical mass where it doesn't matter if you have no money, you feel completely relaxed. So you become abundantly attractive to money. And it's just the greatest feeling. So that was what I learned about, was this point where I was using money as a tool for relaxation, not as a stress tool.
Yeah, I love that. And, I was thinking about it. I carry cash all the time too. And there's some comfort in having cash on you. We live in a world where money is almost imaginary. We don't really touch it. As you know, I was a financial advisor for 15 years. And I used to make jokes to the audience about how their grandkids probably didn't know what a coin was, right? Like we
Right.
just don't exchange cash. I mean, I remember being a little girl so excited when my grandfather gave me change, and I don't even think today's kids touch change. And so for me, and this probably goes back to working with you back in 2019 on this, but I like to touch money. I like to show respect to my money. Like it's always lined up. Like I'm honoring it, but not in a way that obviously God comes first. It's not above, but I'm appreciating what it does for me in my life, and I'm appreciating that God has let this money flow to me. So I really, and when I go through periods where maybe I feel disconnected financially or maybe a little stressed, I will actually go get enough cash that I'm paying for everything in cash instead of using my
Brilliant.
debit or credit card. And there's just some connection, and it's
Well,
interesting because
this is where
Sorry, go
you
ahead.
use money as a tool for your
Yes.
life. Why do you think the casinos take your hard-earned money and put it into plastic chips or rubber chips,
Yep.
so that you have no relationship with a piece of plastic? And so that's how they get people sucked in by they're keeping people above the neck, so that they're just thinking, oh, this is just a piece of, I can keep playing with this, it's just a game. But it's not, because then they suddenly become broke as a result. So, and you've got to be careful, because credit cards are the same idea. So your strategy
Yeah.
of having cash on hand is brilliant, so that you have that, I earned this and I'm paying for this with my
Yeah.
own money.
And if we go back to your book, kind of your first step is to start saving money, correct? So walk us through that. But you actually would physically go deposit the money in your bank account, because that's a lot different than just moving it from a savings to a checking to a savings account online, right? So
Exactly.
share with us the importance of that activity.
It's the action, the physical action that you're doing below the neck. So you have to use your hands to deposit. And there's different systems you'll see in the book of how to do that. But the whole point is that you're doing it physically below the neck. If you're just doing it with your mind, like transferring from one account to another, it's a very mental act. There's no tangible process there. It's like, okay, I'm going to imagine I'm going to have this beautiful meal. I look at the menu and I see it and I say, I'll have that. But then you don't eat it. You get hungry. So it's like you've got to do the physical to get the best result. But before you even get to that, you have to know how much to put in your deposit. And that's a real pivotal part of the book. And the whole point of this book is to develop your intuition. How can we make your intuition stronger, your connection to God stronger, so you know what is right for you and not being influenced by the outside world? Because when you look at, say someone says, like I had one client who was a multi-millionaire. I mean, he could buy aeroplanes with pocket change. He was that wealthy. And we went through the process. His deposit each week was only about $15. Now, isn't that crazy that someone so wealthy could have such a small amount of money? He knew he wanted his biggest problem was stress. So we went through the process. He was doing the deposits with the $15 a week, which is nothing for him. And his stress went away. Okay, over time of doing the process and going through the system, his stress went away. And the reason we found out his stress was because he inherited the company. He didn't build the company from scratch. And once he started doing his financial freedom system, he started to build the company even bigger. Because the stress went away, he was able to do more and more and more.
So I love this story for multiple reasons. One, I had the same experience when I took your class, because I could have afforded to put away a lot more money than what my body told me to do, which showed me that I had to increase like that abundance mentality in my money mindset, right? There was some stress there. And then building that over time was very powerful. And the second reason I think this is important is, we have a lot of entrepreneurs who listen to this podcast. We interview a ton of business owners. And the number one stress for most business owners is cash flow in the business, right? So this isn't just in your personal. I mean, one, what I do with all clients first 90 days is really put a foundation into their personal lives so they can scale their business. So I think, like you said, put the oxygen mask on yourself first, take care of your personal finance first. But could we take some of these concepts into the business as well, right? Could we start laying this foundation? Or have you seen that when the entrepreneur puts the foundation in, it transfers to the business? What has your experience been there?
So I've done both. I've got the entrepreneur to do it and also do a foundation account for the business. Which is really interesting because the figures are so low compared to what the revenue of the company is. It's like, but it works. And then getting the whole team, each team member doing their own foundation account, it just boosts up the business. If the entrepreneur only does it, then if they're the leader of the owner of the company, it does have a ripple effect. The old adage of the fish rots from the head. Well, the fish also grows from the head. So the head of the company, when they're doing the building their own foundation and getting rid of their stress, financial stress, it does flow because suddenly everyone feels better around these people. Okay, and so the company starts to grow, the opportunities start to become more attractive. So you can do both. You can do it within the business and also for yourself personally. But number one is always personal, that you must do personal first before the business.
Well, and the other part is you have to take care of yourself. But in my experience, all of my friends, my clients, myself, business owners I know, they really care about their team members, right? So that's why we're talking about your book today. But what I'm super excited about is you are launching a masterclass based on this. So a much bigger version of that group class I took, back in 2019. And I mean, I'm just thinking about it. How cool if I just gift all my employees a membership into that and they're going through it, right? Like, because, you always want to improve the lives of those around you. So share with us kind of the impetus for you launching this masterclass and the impact that you'd like to make there.
Well, when you talk about businesses, I had one company that did that. Each person in the company did the process. And it was so interesting because those who didn't do the process or rejected the process, you notice that they were actually holding the business back. And eventually they didn't belong to the business anymore. They left. And then as soon as the bad apple in the cart spoils the whole lot, as soon as they left, the business exploded. So removing the negative or the struggle energy out of your business environment will help the whole business to grow. And the reason I want to do this in a larger scale now is because I enjoy working one-on-one with clients, but I want to reach more people. And I have this vision of helping 50,000 people and 50,000 families doing it, where we're working with the whole family. Of course, that includes businesses, but my focus was individuals and families, because then the ripple effect is going to go everywhere into their whole life and affect everyone around them. And people will ask me, why are you so relaxed? And because they get the benefit of it. And so I want to make that bigger.
I love it. And working with families, you not just have the ripple effect now, but it goes down through the generations. It's kind of like breaking the generational curse, right? So
exactly.
It can change the legacy of a family. And like you said, not just monetarily, but being a happier, more peaceful, more connected to God. Like, you can really just kind of change everything, because for those of us who have gone through significant spiritual growth, which I have for, the last 4 years, especially I've been on a fast track, I'd say the last 4 months. And, you do always have those hiccups when the people you love maybe aren't on that same path. There is a stress and a strain. And, hopefully you work through it and you grow back through it. But I mean, just how cool if like everyone you work with and your entire family is going through the growth with you. I just think it's impactful, and so much more powerful.
And it's really interesting when I've worked with where just the husband looks after the whole family, he's the breadwinner, or the husband and the wife do their own foundation accounts, and the results that come from each. The first really good, well, one family did it, and suddenly they called me because they said, well, guess what's, we're not emptying the trash in our kitchen as often as we normally do. Normally we empty it at least twice a week, and we're only doing it once a week. They were losing weight because the stress was going away, that they were actually not eating as much. And so their weight went down, so the kitchen trash went down as well. And they're like, this is amazing. We're saving money as well as making money. And the stress went away. Another family, one of the gentlemen actually got through the 3 years, because I have a 3-year program, and he got through the 3 years, and he was happy. He said, I don't need to go on. I feel really good. I feel incredibly relaxed. I'm taking care of my whole family. And then he called me about 6 months later and he said, something's wrong because the stress is coming back. I haven't touched my money. It's still in my foundation account, everything, but stress is coming out. Anyway, I checked and said, okay, what happened was he found out his wife was pregnant. So because he was holding the whole foundation for the family, it wasn't enough for where the family was going. So he started up again, the stress went away. But that was really amazing to see that something was, his intuition was guiding that he didn't have enough foundation for how his family was growing. And same thing goes with businesses. When the business decides to grow bigger, you've got to build the foundation to be able to support. You can't build a 10-story building on a 1-story house foundation. You have to build a foundation that can withstand the weight, the pressure, everything for a bigger building. And that's the whole principle behind the foundation.
No, I love that. And so, Daniel, if you don't mind, real quickly summarize again for our audience, because we've gone so many places with our conversation. What is the foundational account and how do they start this? And obviously, I recommend that they grab your book to walk through the whole process and join your masterclass. And by the way, if you're listening and you're loving this conversation, give us a quick review on Apple, Spotify. Just take a screenshot and send it to my team at vixengathering.com. If we get that from you, you will get a signed complimentary copy of Daniel's book. So that's pretty exciting. So if you're loving this conversation, thinking, I need to get my foundation in place, that's a quick and easy way we can get you on the road. And by the way, I'm so glad we're talking about this now, Daniel, because, a lot of people have scarcity about the economy. Everything's more expensive, right? There's a lot of insecurity in the world, period. And I don't know. It's interesting because I kind of live in my bubble, as you know, and I think you're somewhat similar, where we have created this peace in our lives and these foundations. So, the world is kind of maybe falling apart, a lot of people feel. And honestly, it doesn't affect my day-to-day life. I hate to say that. It's not that I'm not empathetic. Every day I'm praying for the people around the world and wishing the best for them. But my mood is not affected by what's going on in the world because, through working with you and other spiritual growth, I have built this foundation where I feel solid. So really it starts with money, but it trickles into all these other parts of our lives, right?
Yeah, this is such an important time right now to do it because of all the external influences from the economy, from people's stress in the environment, that you want to build up your own foundation to be stronger than what's on the outside. So it's very important now to build this foundation. The process, so we go through a step where you're acknowledging where you're at to start. You find out how much you're going to deposit, you set up a system to deposit, either at home or in a bank. And then we go through a process of, like a baby builds up muscles to grow as they going from laying down to sitting up to crawling to walking. Is all steps of building their foundation in their physical body to grow. We have the same process where every month you're improving your foundation. You're building the size of your deposit so that, which is in line with your intuition, which is God talking to you, and not in line with your mind, which would say, oh, we should do more. No, it's all about listening to intuition below the neck. And then the process goes from there, where you end up, where you get to a point I call the critical mass, where it doesn't matter. You're repelling negativity. You're repelling those who are trying to take from you rather than give to you. And then you also have this strong foundation within you that you can say no when it doesn't feel right. When your intuition is guiding you, it may sound great above the neck, but your intuition, your heart is saying, no, this is not for you. This is not part of your journey. And to be able to say no easily at that point is fantastic. So that's a very basic rundown of the whole process.
I love it. And you mentioned at the bank or at home. Can we talk about the jar quickly?
Yeah, the jar principle. So what happened was in 2008, when I was teaching my clients, they were saying, hey, I don't trust banks anymore because of the financial crisis. So I had to come up with a new way. Now, originally, I was doing another process for holidays, and I can tell you that story. It was pretty cool. I had, for 20 years, I visualized, which is above the neck, of lying under a palm tree on in a tropical island, beautiful water, everything. It was like, wow. So, but 20 years I visualized it, nothing happened. And then I started the process, which is the basis, the background of the jar principle, where I put deposits into this travel envelope. And they were like coins. It was nothing much. But within 8 months of starting that process, I was lying under a palm tree on a tropical island. It was exactly like I'd visualized for 20 years but never manifested. So once the below the neck started, it happened in 8 months. It was phenomenal. And the money I had put into this account, this travel account, would never have paid for even the airfare to get to that island. But it just manifested. It was attracted to me. So I think I went off a bit on a tangent there, but the jar, that's where the jar principle first started. So I got them when people asked me, I needed a different way than the bank. And then I saw the vision of that envelope that I used to use. And so I got an old spaghetti sauce jar, cleaned it out, obviously. And then I started using this. Now, what's really interesting with the process, people will say, well, can't I use just a money box, like an old piggy bank? And I checked the energy and I was like, no, if you put money into a piggy bank, the money escapes through the hole. So this is why this spaghetti jar had to be, because I had to seal the money once it was in. I had to seal the jar. And then then there was no energy leakage. So, which is fascinating, right? So I just did it that way and noticed that when some people actually did it where they put the jar in the house safe. They had a safe in their home and they put the jar inside and they do I have this whole ritual. It takes about 5 minutes a week where you can do it, where you put this money into the jar and so forth. It's a whole process, which I teach in the masterclass.
So I have my jar and, I've lived in 5 different houses since 2019. So it's come to every house with me. I'm on my 5th place. So it's so funny. Always somebody's like, oh, what's this? Because it actually is a very pretty, like it just looks like a, something you have out. And then it's so funny. Somebody will grab it and be like, oh my gosh, what's this? And it's like, so heavy. But what I love, because I love traveling, so I put my leftover currency in there when I take trips, and I have other currencies. So I have different currencies in there, which is kind of fun too.
And the fun part with the jar is when it gets full and you can't put any more in, you start converting that money into gold or silver. And so you've actually, when you pick up the jar, there's a lot of weight to it. So you have all these gold ingots or silver coins in there that have just exchanged it's just another form of energy exchange. And so you've got more room to put more money into your jar, which is a lot of fun.
I like that. I've never actually done that part, but there is a coin shop across the street, so I will do that this weekend.
Very good.
Awesome. Super fun. So tell us a little bit more about this mission. I mean, impacting 50,000 families, that's huge. And, I love it because, I love bold missions. I think we're here to make a difference on earth. You've been doing this for 30 years, obviously making a difference. And so it's kind of time to raise your foundation of impact, right? So, so share with us, kind of the thinking that went behind this, and in your master class, what's the experience going to be? I mean, Daniel, the first thing that comes to my mind is we did our group class, but then we were all doing this on our own. And, I was working with you each month, so I kind of had accountability. But a lot of times, it's just like when we say, I need to lose 10 pounds. And if no one's holding you accountable, you don't lose the 10 pounds, right? So I imagine there's a lot of power in having this community that you're meeting with all the time so that you're held accountable to do the work.
Yeah. So the 50,000 actually came, I was chatting with a few friends about, maybe I should do a masterclass and I want to reach more people. And they were asking me how many, and they were telling me 10 million, 100 million people. And I'm like, let me just ask God. And so I checked my intuition, and 50,000 came up. So, okay, 50,000 people. And I started working with that. And then I get this intuition, check it again. So I checked it again. And it was 50,000 families. So obviously some people are single, so that would go in the single category, but the families is what God wanted me to work on. So because when the family unit has a long, strong foundation, then they can repel a lot of the influences from the external. So there's no need to keep up with the Joneses. There's no need to apologize for where they're at. They can just be solid in themselves to do that. And so the masterclass, it'll be sort of like each family can come along to the masterclass, and then we'll work with, if the kids want to do their own foundation account, or the teenagers or whatever, or the parents, then we can work with them to build up that strength so that they build this foundation within the family unit, which has a ripple effect, because eventually goes to the edge of their property or their apartment or their condo, and eventually it starts to affect others. By people being in their space, there's a distance away from you of how far the foundation will emit, and this is why the law of attraction starts to attract more opportunities, because you become attractive. Another side story, okay, so I had one gentleman who had a very successful business, but he couldn't get a date. And he was like asking women out, they were always turning him down all the time. Yeah. So my intuition said, do the foundation. That's got nothing to do with the relationships. So he started doing it. And then he started to attract dates. And then what happened was, and then he got married and had kids and so forth. It was very successful. But the women were picking up that even though he had all the money, which you see above the neck, he had no stability. Because it was a family business again. It wasn't him that he created it. So once he started building his foundation, everything just flowed from there. So this is how the foundation emits an energy, and you become attractive or repelling, depending on your level of consciousness. Another thing about the masterclass we haven't spoken about is I'm actually going to be doing healing in the masterclass. Every year I'm going to be working on clearing blockages. They can be family, hereditary blockages, could be conditioning, anything that's holding you back from having that abundance, having that foundation in yourself, so that you can emit that positive energy to the world. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well.
No, that's powerful, because I actually share this when I'm coaching and I do my money masterclass. But even though I had a solid financial foundation, and you've always told me I'm pretty strong there. I don't know if you remember when I started the Vixen Gathering before as a lawyer, someone billed out my time and the clients paid. As a financial advisor, as we implemented plans, we got paid from the companies. So I'd never actually been in a situation where a client had to pay me directly. And so when I started the Vixen Gathering, I was having a hard time asking people to pay me, and you did a healing with me, and it was something from a past life that you actually had to remove. And then because it was driving me crazy, because I'm like, okay, I understand exchange of energy. I understand I'm giving them value and they should give me some value. But it was literally like the words wouldn't come out of my mouth. They were blocked, or I was mute. And, I even had people say, well, shouldn't I pay you for this? Like, I had other people asking me because I wasn't asking them to pay me. And, whatever you removed, I've gotten to the point where I don't care about the why. I'm just happy that I get the results, right? Like, whatever you remove, change that for me to the degree that I'm now coaching other women how to be better at that, right? Brilliant. So It's amazing because sometimes our biggest block, when removed, turns out to be one of our largest successes. Have you seen that with your clients?
Yes, and in fact, like you were just describing how you are now coaching others to do what you went through. It's the same thing. Sometimes our biggest wound is our greatest asset, because if we get through it, if we build our foundation to break through that, then we have the strength to help others who are also. We also attract people who have the same situation, so we can help them. It's fantastic. So yes, definitely.
I love it. But yeah, I really want to emphasize the power of that healing, because for a lot of people, they may have never experienced something. They may never have had a healing or worked with a spiritual coach like you, Daniel. And so, it's so powerful. And the beauty of it is, you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to figure it out, right? That's why you have the healer or the coach. Yeah. Exactly. They just remove it and you get the benefit. But I do remember I had a huge detox after that healing. So that was something big. That was probably I don't usually get physical detoxes, and that time I did. And so I'm not sure what was removed. I'll give you a great example
for people, most people can understand. I've got these great earbuds in, which cancel the external noise, right? So noise cancelling earphones. Now, what happens is, if you have a frequency that is one way with money, and other people who have money have a frequency the other way, they can cancel out, and so that's why people struggle. So what I'm doing with the healing is actually transforming that energy to change the flow, so that you're in harmony with the money instead of being in opposite to the money, and so that way. What happens is, once you're in harmony, then the money starts to come towards you because you're not cancelling it out. So that's a way that listeners can also understand of how does this work? How does the healing? We're transforming the energy with the spiritual healing so that you can be in harmony and you can flow with life. And the detox is suddenly you can hear all the background noise like this. So it takes a little while for the background noise to disappear, so you can enjoy that peace and that harmony. So.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes immediately and there is no detox. So, what I just encourage people to experience it and try it, because you don't really have to fully understand. I mean, there are certain things in life that you have to experience to understand. And like you said, you want to stay below the neck, which means not be so mental. That's taking the action. I don't think it's something you can really understand until you've experienced it. And I can't even say that I fully understand, even though I too now am training and doing healings for people. And most of my clients coming to me are clients in my coaching business. And so they've never experienced a healing before. They just trust me and they're like, oh, what is this? Let me try it. And, it's just amazing, the results. I just had, a beautiful text message yesterday of someone talking about how their life is totally transformed. And that's why we do what we do, right? But it's not us, it's God. It's the moment it's right for this person. And it's just amazing. So I would like to share with the audience so I've worked with Daniel since October 2019. Basically what happened was 2 different people told me I should call him that didn't know each other. And I was like, this is weird. Why does everybody keep telling me to call this guy? Okay, let me look him up. And it was explained that you did energetic work. I had no idea what you did. I just trusted. At this point in life, I learned the 2x4 rule, I call it, which is your intuition whispers to you, then it kind of screams at you. And if you don't listen, you get hit in the forehead with a big 2x4. So that's been my experience. So by this point in time, I'm just okay, I keep getting told this. I'm going to do it before the 2x4 comes. So, I had no idea what I was getting into when I connected with you, scheduled something. And then we did it sporadically. And then April 2020 hit, which was crazy for all of us. At the time, I was a financial advisor. The economy was in turmoil. My dad had just had surgery where he was basically paralyzed, and he was my partner in business. So, here I am, a business owner, keeping things afloat. The economy's tanking, making sure all my clients feel secure. And I needed someone to support me. And so that's really when we started doing monthly healings. And I think I've done it every month since then. So I can share, it definitely kept my sanity. And I got to where I was praying and meditating an hour and a half a day in 2020, broken up. And that's that, everybody was like, gosh, how are you handling everything so well? Why are you not stressed out? And, that's my secret. And none of us are perfect. It came and crashed and burned on me April of the next year. We all hit that wall at some time. And that's when I learned I needed to rest and restore more. And then you helped me understand that I really integrate the healings. Like for me, napping is very powerful. So like I rest and restore well. So I just like to share my journey. It's different for everyone. But then and in my financial practice, I would do sporadic group healings with you for my team, like kind of when we were going through a stressful time. And now we are set quarterly healings for my entire team. So again, a lot of them are like, what's this? I've never done this before when they're new. And then afterwards they're like, I don't know what just happened, but I feel so much better and I feel at peace. So, one, I want to thank you because our team absolutely loves that. And a lot of my sanity came from our work together. And for whatever reason, God brought me to you. It was super powerful. So I just like to share my experience because a lot of people are like, well, I'm not sure what that is. You know what? Just try it. If it's calling your name, try it.
Listen to your intuition, listen to your heart.
Yeah.
And not the mind. Yeah.
Exactly. Awesome. All right. So Daniel, what are 3 tips you would share with our audience, maybe where they can, to help them solidify this foundation?
Well, first tip is when you have to make a decision, take a breath. Breathe. Yeah. So breathe the air below the neck because our instinct under stress is always to go straight to the mind, survival instinct. It's in our DNA. We can't get away from it. So if you take the step of taking a deep breath in, then suddenly you're going below the neck. So the next step would be actually to breathe for 2 minutes. So just put your timer on for 2 minutes. It's 90 seconds to 2 minutes is where the blood chemistry changes in your body when you are feeding with oxygen, feeding with air. So by doing that, you start to calm down. And when you calm down, you can get more in touch with what your truth is in your heart. And then, of course, taking the financial freedom system is the tip because you want to build the foundation in your body so that you have the power to attract and repel what's not good for you. Okay, so there's the 3 things I would do.
I love it. So go buy the book, sign up for the masterclass. By the way, if you have not subscribed to the Vixen Voice, go subscribe. Remember, every week we send all the resources we talk about directly to your inbox so you don't even have to go search for them. So go to vixengathering.com, subscribe to our podcast. We will send you all the information, links so that you can get connected to Daniel, sign up for this amazing masterclass. And I mean, Daniel, let's talk about this. I feel the masterclass is extremely affordable, but I love that because I know you want to impact 50,000 families. So tell us about how long it is for, what the cost is, just a little bit of information. Yeah, sure. There.
So it's a year long. You'll get an email every week with either a video from me or tidbits to help you on the journey. The great thing, of course, is the accountability, having someone in your group, in the masterclass, who can support each other through the journey. Because some people are stronger when they have a team around them, which others have enough individual willpower to do it. And then we're going to do quarterly Q&A where I'll get on the call with you and we talk for an hour or so, and any questions you might have around the process or what's working, what's not working, so I can give you information. And then, of course, doing the annual cleanup of your energy field so that so it makes the journey a lot easier. And my goal is actually to increase that to quarterly, but we're starting out with annual and see where we go from there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that. That's huge. And what's the cost for the program?
$500 for the whole year.
Yeah, that's a steal. I'm going to join that and quit paying for my monthly healings. No, I'm just kidding.
I wanted to make it so affordable for people, for families. I mean, $500, you spend a lot more on that on a phone or, things that going out to dinner for a few times. So I wanted to make it so affordable that we can reach the 50,000 goal. as fast as
Yeah.
possible.
And I love this idea of a community where you're with other people on the same journey. So even if you're the person who can do it on your own or you need people, I mean, it's just so cool. You know, you and I joke every time, you know, we see each other like, gosh, other people would think we were crazy if they heard this conversation. Like, there's a comfort in getting to talk about these things that are important to you, right? And that's like the power of the community. And so, yeah, I just love this. I think it couldn't be better timed. I know that, you know, you have divine intuition on this, but it's definitely on par this time. And I think that this is not going to be your last. Oh, and by the way, you can find the book on Amazon. It's an Amazon bestseller, and there's a workbook. So if you want to try to do it on your own, you can get the book and workbook. You can get both and join the masterclass. I'm a huge fan of community, so I love the idea of the masterclass. But I don't think this is going to be your last go round. Do you already have another book in the works?
I do. It's actually 8 books I'm working on over the next
Wow.
10 years. And this is the first book of the series, and it's working on different parts of foundation in your life. The second one I'm working on now is on spiritual foundation. Because a lot of people are reaching out, can you help me? Can you guide me to become stronger spiritually with all that's going on in the world? I need to have more positivity in my life. I need to have more God in my life. I have it in my mind, but I want to have it in my heart and in my body. And that's the whole process of going below the neck. So I'm working on that now. I also have classes which you're aware of, the women's workshop, transformation workshop, which is...
I went through that last year and loved it. It's a year-long program. Yep.
So working on that, and there's a few others in the works right now. So I'm very excited to get all
I
these
love it.
out.
So one other thing that came to my mind when you were talking about the breathing techniques is what I think makes Daniel so unique is, you know, he's a spiritual transformation coach, but he also is extremely competitive and into growth because you were a world-class athlete as well, correct? So tell us a little bit about your running career.
So I was a runner back in my youth. For my whole life, I wasn't anyone until I started building my foundation in my running. And then I talk a little bit about it in the book as well, some of the stories about what I learned about how to keep moving forward when your willpower disappears or your motivation disappears. What do you do to keep going forward? So I started developing that, and it was through an injury that took me out of the Olympics in 1992 that sent me on this path to do what I'm doing now with the spiritual healing by overcoming the injury and helping others to do the same. So that's where it began.
Well, I love that because I feel like you have a unique blend of performance and spirituality, right? Like, and you know, which helps us perform within our integrity or dignity, which is so important to stay aligned. And so that's really great. So, of course,
you also have a passion in business as well. I love to see businesses grow and not fail. So I'm always helping people with that way.
Yeah, and I know your clients are extremely grateful for that one.
Definitely.
So if you're listening and you think your business needs a little energetic transfusion or some spirituality, definitely check out Daniel as well for these opportunities. I know we're talking about the book today, but as I mentioned, he's an amazing coach and healer. So there's many different things. Again, you can find his website in our show notes. And I can't emphasize enough, the easiest way you can have all this at your fingertips is subscribe to the Vixen Gathering, the Vixen Voice on vixengathering.com. And all of this automatically comes to your inbox. But check out the show notes below. You'll find out where you can get more of Daniel. I'm sure today won't be the end. Many people will want to reach out to you. You can find his book on Amazon. And as mentioned, you'll find links to the masterclass as well. You definitely want to jump in because I don't think this price is going to stay at $500. No. I could be wrong, but it just seems like a steal to me. And what a beautiful gift to, you know, give humanity as we enter into the new year. So, Daniel, thank you so much for joining us today. This was interesting, us chatting in this format.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate this a lot. So
awesome. So what did you love most about our conversation today?
The free flowing, and the questions came from different angles. And as you were asking me, I was getting images from different parts of all the people I've helped over the last 30 years. So that was fun to remember some of the good things that have happened over the time. So
Yeah, the
you.
impact. No,
Yeah.
my pleasure. The impact's the important part. So I always like to say the world needs a lot more love. That's my message to our audience. How can you show up in love today? So Daniel, as we end our time together today, what message would you like to share with our audience?
Love is the best antidote to fear. Okay, there's too much fear in the world, and the only way to dissolve it is with love. Because you can't have love and fear at the same time. It's impossible. They cancel each other out. Love cancels out the fear. So the more you can love yourself, the stronger you'll become. And the best way is to love yourself unconditionally with everything that your goods, your bads, everything. To love every part of yourself. So if you can just go to your heart and really speak from your heart and say out loud, I love myself unconditionally. This alone, if you do this every day, is going to transform your whole energy field, transform your whole mind, your body, everything about you, and make you stronger. So this is how you dissolve the fear. I love myself unconditionally. And imagine that you're speaking 3 feet away from you when you say it, not just saying, I love myself unconditionally under your breath. You're actually saying it to someone who's at least 3 feet or more away from you. You do this, or say it to the mirror if you like, your reflection in the mirror. And you really speak to that person, you will find that a lot of your problems disappear.
Awesome. I love that. Self-love is one of my favorite topics, as the listeners know. So I love that exercise.
Put your oxygen mask on yourself first before you help others.
Exactly. So I really encourage everyone, rewind that, listen, practice it every day. Grab your book to get your financial foundation in place, grab the workbook, and check out the masterclass. And Daniel, thank you so much for joining us
April.
today.
It's been wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Love it. Bye, everyone. Have a fantastic day, and remember to show up in love.